Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight I'm going to be doing another movie review. This is a horror film from England, English language, released in the year 2012, directed by James Watkins, and this film is called The Woman in Black. And the story to The Woman in Black is as follows. Arthur Kipps, a widowed lawyer whose grief has put his career in jeopardy, is sent to a remote village to sort out the affairs of a recently deceased eccentric. But upon his arrival, it soon becomes clear that everyone in the town is keeping a deadly secret. Although the townspeople try to keep Kipps from learning their tragic history, he soon discovers that the house belonging to his client is haunted by a ghost of a woman who is determined to find someone and something she lost, and no one, not even the children, are safe from her vengeance. So the movie is set in the 1800s England. The main character is Arthur Kipps, played by Daniel Radcliffe. Kipps is a lawyer who has recently lost his wife during the birth of their only son. So he is grieving the loss of his wife and at the same time trying to raise his son, and he's finding it very difficult. And as a result of all this, his job is really suffering. Now, Arthur is contemplating suicide, but he doesn't want to do that because he wants to help his son to become a better person. So he's about to lose his job. His boss gives him a lifeline. He says that if you can do this job, then it's going to help resurrect your life. So Arthur accepts this because it promises a pay package that is going to set his son up. So he goes to this secluded village to do an evaluation on this mansion that was owned by a recently deceased eccentric. Now, she was considered a little bit weird, and it turns out that when Arthur gets to this village, the reception is very cold. The villagers don't want him there, so there is a reason and there is a secret behind this town. So it's not going to be an ordinary job. So when Arthur goes into the house, he begins to experience very weird things, and it turns out that this house could be haunted by the Woman in Black. Now, the Woman in Black is connected to the townspeople, and that horrifying truth is about to be unveiled. So what happens from that point on? It's a sort of a haunted house sort of story. So I'm not going to tell you any more on the synopsis. That's as far as I'm going to go. So if you want to know how it unfolds, please go out there and see this one for yourself. Now, my thoughts on the movie. I put this one off. I put myself off seeing this one for such a long time because of the fact Daniel Radcliffe was in the film. Now, don't get me wrong, I do feel Daniel Radcliffe is a decent actor. I thought he was good in Harry Potter, but when I saw this movie, I thought it was going to be directed at the same sort of select audience of Harry Potter. So it wasn't going to be that scary, and it wasn't going to be that well done. So I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but that's exactly what I did for so long. But then I started hearing very glowing reviews and people saying how scary it was. So I thought, I'm going to take a punt on this one, because if it was done well, it would really, I'd really appreciate it, because I like these kinds of films. But it's so easy to ruin a film like this, because it's been done over and over and over. So after watching it, I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed this film, and it was so much better than I first thought. Now, the acting from Daniel Radcliffe was good, but the only problem I had with him was the fact that I felt like I was watching Harry Potter. He has a son, and I felt that he looked way too young to have a son. Daniel Radcliffe still looks like a kid. And although he does a good job, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. It wasn't really believable that this guy was having a family, but based on his performance in the film, I thought he was really, really good in what he does. He is a very sympathetic character, and he was very believable. So Daniel Radcliffe does prove that he is a good actor, but whether or not he can shake that Harry Potter tag, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he does a good job as Arthur Kipps, and it wasn't really an in-depth character, so it wasn't the hardest thing to do, but his changing of emotion, it was very believable, and I actually thought it was well done. So if you're like me and you're putting yourself off watching this film because of Daniel Radcliffe, give it a shot, because I do feel he does a good job. Now, what I loved about it so much was the fact that the atmosphere was second to none. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant, much better than a lot of films of the same type of subgenre. It's a very gothic feeling. It has your typical British cinematography where it's very cold, dark, wet, all that kind of thing. So the mood of the film was absolutely superb, and it maintains itself throughout the entire film. I thought the pacing of the movie was fantastic, and that when the scares happen, they are genuinely scary. Now, another really good thing about the movie is that they combine jump scares with very subtle scares as well. So there is something in it for many horror fans. If you're like me and you like something a little bit more in depth than a jump scare, then there are very subtle scares in the movie, and you're going to miss it if you don't pay attention. So the fact that I got all of the scares shows how much attention I had to the screen, and that is because of the fact the director demands the attention. The build-up to the the build-up to the scary events was absolutely fantastic. It has a soundtrack where it dictates when you should feel scared, but it misleads you. So you've got a scene where the music is very creepy. It's building up to the end of it, the climax of the soundtrack, but then nothing happens. And then it'll hit you when there's no music at all. So I do feel that the director really used the soundtrack to his advantage, and it's kind of like misleading you, and it's promising something that it doesn't deliver, and therefore it does make it unpredictable in that nature. The ending was fantastic. I really liked it. I thought, I was really worried that the director was going to go down a stereotypical ending to these kinds of films, but he didn't, and I really felt that although it wasn't a depressing ending, it still wasn't a happy one, so it kind of leaves you in between. And I thought it was a really good way to cap off, and it was very consistent with the way the story was going. The only problem I have with the movie is very simple. It's a simplistic movie, but it's simplicity done very well. And that's what prevents it from being a masterpiece. Unfortunately, they're just, to the characters, Daniel Radcliffe's character, he was not really that much in depth. He did command a lot of sympathy based on what he has gone through, but I just felt the character development wasn't there to make it a great film. But then again, it wasn't necessary for that, because it's not a character developed sort of film. It is a movie that is basically just a haunted house film. So if you like your good old-fashioned haunted house stories that are done very well, simplistic but very well done in that regard, then this one's definitely one to check out. As I said, it's not a masterpiece. It is very basic, but it's still one that is worth checking out if you're bored on a Friday night. So I'm giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it took me by surprise. So it's 4 stars for the British horror film The Woman in Black. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching horror or whatever genre you like, and I'll see you later. Bye.